Today's true crime. We go inside an eerie-looking 19th century mansion with a murderous past. So much paranormal activity is said to have been witnessed on this property that no one has lived there since the former caretaker and his family fled in 2017. There are so many stories of death swirling around this home that we had to enlist crime correspondent Melissa Moore to investigate. And we called in medium Anna Raimondi to help unveil the property's gruesome past. In fact, so many crazy things have been reported that the current caretakers can't stand being there alone. You won't believe what they say they've experienced. Take a look.
I started getting like a weird feeling in my stomach.
We heard actually moans and groans.
Footsteps, slamming of doors.
The door just heavily slammed in my face. And I did not go in the house for that when I needed. I left.
Other people, they get nervous about it and all.
Yeah, it gets a little creepy here by yourself once in a while.
The other night we were here and we heard furniture being moved upstairs, but there isn't any furniture.
Joining us are crime correspondent Melissa Moore and medium Anna Raimondi. This mansion's been on the market on and off for so many years now. Did that surprise you? What do you think about its history, Melissa?
Well, I did some digging into the house and the history, and it's been on the market off and on. It's never been fully abandoned, though. But then, as I was digging and research, I found that a developer actually took possession of the house in 1999, and he did some remodeling, but it seemed like the house was cursed. Permits weren't going through, but also there's the paranormal aspect. So neighbors are seeing paranormal activity. The caretakers of the property are seeing orbs. So there's definitely activity going on, but I think the biggest deal breaker was the mob hit, the murder in 2005. It was absolutely brutal. The victim was butchered.
Oh my goodness. So, Melissa, I trust you on all things true crime.
Right.
So you came in with a logical mind, like mine actually,
Right.
trying to figure out, is this impossible? Why these bizarre activities and what's the underlying cause? But I recognize it could be something beyond our expertise. So, Anna, we didn't tell you anything about this house.
Nothing. I didn't have any information at all.
Not where it was.
Nothing. Didn't have an address, had nothing.
All right. So with all that, we actually go in there. And we heard about all these alleged spirits at the property. Why do you think these spirits, if their spirits are staying home, why aren't they going away like most spirits are supposed to?
There's such sadness in this house that they just can't let go of it. And there's so much pain in the house from the original owner and then obviously the man who was killed in the house and the mob hit.
All right, so it turns out the mob hit's not the only problem we're going to uncover. We decided to send Anna into this mansion where she says she was completely overwhelmed the second she walked in the door. Now, can I remind you all, she knew nothing about this house before we basically took you in there with no warning. Take a look.
Whoa. Wow. Somebody was dragged here. I'm feeling the energy. He was killed, okay? But I feel like stab. There's a stabbing. Somebody's sitting on somebody. They want him to die. This man he did not want to die. Blood. So was there all blood in here? Like bloody, very bloody? Where's the water? I'm looking for water. They're telling me, he's saying, go to the water, go to the water, go to the water.
There was water.
Yes, there's a pond right outside
Okay,
here.
right over there?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
because I'm
Straight
hearing
outside.
by the water, by the water, by the water. And then somebody gets dumped in the water. How many murders was more than one murder here? This is all the same murder that I'm picking
As
up?
far as we know,
Yeah,
there was
because
one.
it went into the water, okay? I'm so feeling that there was the pond, there's water, because he keeps saying the water, that I feel like they held him under. This is his grave. This is it. This is his grave.
This is why we do this every year. We do flowers
Yeah,
and we do this every year.
This is
in memory of Rob.
absolutely his grave. Okay, so on the floor. I feel like there was something on the floor. The body was on the floor. There's a lot of activity in the room. It's almost like they don't even care that they just did this. Like, they just don't care. It's just another day.
There's some lighting here. Oh, well, let me catch it.
Okay, something really bad. Something really bad. There's so much blood. Something was taken out.
This furnace was. This is a new
it.
furnace.
This is new. Okay.
Yes.
And I don't know, something about shoving it in. Was somebody killed down here? Was this the same man from upstairs?
Same
But he
guy
was
from
dead
here.
already. They went through all of this to kill this one man? I mean, listen, this guy has like 9 lives because he's running all over. He's still running all over the house. He's running. He
figured he
runs
was.
all over the house. Do you hear him running in the house?
We've
He
heard
runs.
footsteps all
He
over the house,
runs.
yes.
Whoever did this didn't know what they were doing. Okay, they just didn't know. It was like a butcher job. He was watching it in spirit, like, because he had passed. He was watching this going on, crying about the desecration of his body, because it was desecrated.
Anna, it's uncanny you could tell that much without having any of the history.
You know, I walked into the house and all I saw was blood. It was like it assaulted me. The feeling of was this like very frantic energy running around. It was unbelievable.
You've been investigating this horrific mob hit for quite a while, Melissa. Give us some details of what happened in the mansion.
Well, I found it very interesting that Anna hit on so many key points, and I believe she was communicating with the first victim, which is Robert McKelvey. He was involved in organized crime, angered a man named Gino Galistro. So Gino Galistro put a hit on him for $8,000, hiring the hitman who happened to be the caretaker of the mansion. So his name was Joseph Young. Joseph Young and a couple of accomplices went together, lured Robert into the mansion, and then overkill is an understatement. First they strangled him, unsuccessful. They stabbed him, unsuccessful. And then the blood that Anna's talking about is that after they drowned him in the pond, they took him down to the basement and then dismembered him and fed him into the furnace. Yeah.
Oh my
So when she
goodness.
says there was a lot of blood, they took a hacksaw. I mean, there would be blood everywhere. And what's interesting too, when I watched your piece, is that you stated that something's missing. Well, the furnace is missing where they disposed of his body.
Oh, yes, you did mention that. I didn't understand why.
He was just saying to me some things. He wanted the whole story told. Like, this is what they did. You know, he was watching it as they were doing this because he had died. You know, they were hacking up his body. You know, they desecrated him.
And you did use the word butchered. So I thought that was interesting. There's no way that she would have probably known this unless she dug deep into the history of this house.
And of course, I purposely told you nothing ahead of time because we
Nothing.
wanted to go in there, eyes wide open to figure this out. Robert's murderer, Joseph Young, you said?
Right.
What happened to him?
He's serving life in prison, and then the mob hitman, the man who hired the hit, is serving 20 years.
And we don't know the other men who were involved?
No, we don't.
Aha. So, Anna, you went in there. The energy was frenetic,
Overwhelming. Overwhelming. Not just from the man who was killed, but then you had the energy of the other people that lived in the house as well. So, you know, I could hear a woman crying. It was the original owner, the wife of the man who, you know, had purchased the house, and the children that lived in there, the older children as well. What was really freaky, and what's not on camera, is that Greg, who works, you know, with the camera crew, and I got locked into a room. So I went to open up the door. It wouldn't move. He literally walked over to it.
Well, Greg, he's right here.
Yeah,
I know you're one of the uber skeptics, like so many of us are.
A very big skeptic. Even, you know, watching the segments on the show, I was never, you know, 100% sure about it. So the whole day we were shooting, I was always looking for a spirit in the house. I couldn't find anything. It wasn't until we were packing up, I let my guard down a little bit, and then something happens. So Anna's trying for the door, she's pulling on it. It's bowing out at the bottom, so it almost felt like it was bolted at the top, and the door is bowing out at the bottom. I reached for it almost effortlessly, and it opens up.
It does.
Someone didn't want Anna to leave that room.
Aha.
Yeah.
Are you still a skeptic after this?
Not anymore.
Greg? No. I never thought I'd ever begin to believe in this stuff. But some of these tales are... If I wasn't personally involved in making sure you did not know about this house, I would assume you went back through there, read it up, you know, knew everything, and then confabulated a story.
You know, I think that a lot of people who may walk over the threshold in that house would probably feel something. Now, they may not be able to see what I saw and, you know, feel it the way I feel it, but the house, the energy is so high. Like, I could see them, I could feel them. They're very present.
And they don't want you to leave because they want to keep talking to you?
I think they just wanted to keep talking to me because I could actually communicate with them. You know, they're not at rest.
All right, joining us next are Rick and Elizabeth. They're the caretakers of the Kreischer mansion. For the moment, anyway, they're the caretakers. They both say they've had several encounters with restless spirits who they believe are refusing to leave the property. And coincidentally, they both knew the murder victor that Anna just encountered, Robert.
Yes.
You actually were a classmate of him.
Yes.
And you seemed to even get a little emotional as she was recounting, Anna, the details of the murder.
Yes.
Did you know all those details?
I read about it, but hearing somebody to actually explain it, it struck a nerve.
Why do you stay in the house if there's a possibility that someone you knew who was murdered there might not have crossed over totally?
I personally don't feel threatened by him, maybe because we hung out and rode bicycles together as a child. So it just doesn't scare me.
So you said you've witnessed other strange things, Rick, things that you don't understand.
Yes, correct.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea? Tell us about. Are these from Robert or from somebody else?
We don't know. We think it's both. We think it's the original.
Both?
It's Robert and the original people from the house.
So what do you do when you're sitting there and you hear these things, paranormal things happening? There are two of you, so you know it's not just in your mind.
Yes.
So we just, did you hear that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
We look at each other and say,
And
did
then
you really
he
hear
usually
that?
wants to leave.
I usually get freaked out sometimes.
I'd be freaked out. I don't understand how you're not freaked out by this. Slamming doors, locked doors,
I kind
footsteps.
of got used to it, to be honest with you.
It is a
little bit.
beautiful old house, you know.
And what about these orbs? I heard that you actually brought us some evidence.
Yes,
Yes.
we've caught orbs.
Oh my goodness! Is it that same spot all the time?
No, it actually,
They moved.
they move.
Oh, the blue on the chair, on the stairs there.
Yeah,
the blue thing.
there's 4 orbs in them
The
pictures.
white dot
Yes.
with the blue.
And actually moved 5 pictures there. They moved to 5 different locations. If you follow all the pictures,
Yeah.
they move in a circle.
I don't understand how this is even possible.
It's we've actually got other evidence too of some figures in the windows and stuff like that. We got some pictures and stuff like that.
This house is crying. There's crying in the house. There's a younger man here, and he's very depressed because his brother there's a lot of sibling rivalry going on. I don't know if he gets hit in the head or he shoots himself. Something happens. But I feel it didn't happen in this house, though. I don't feel like he didn't die here. I feel like he died someplace that if I stood on top, I could see it. And he's crying. You got 3 men crying in here. Feels like there was a woman who stayed in this room, and she keeps pointing over there. What was back there?
Balthazar's house.
Balthazar's house, the father's house, was on the hill.
Because she keeps saying, this is not my house, that's my house. And she's saying arson. So did the house burn?
Yes.
The older man, he's crying. He's crying because this was what he lived for, not his kids. He lived for an empire.
And you had the 3 houses and a factory right down on the water.
So one of the brothers died at that
Yes,
factory?
yes.
Did he commit suicide or did his brother kill him? It was suicide. Yeah, because
Supposedly suicide, but there is a rumor of his brother.
his brother had something to do with it, but I don't think his brother killed him. Okay, do people talk about the woman who they see up here?
Yes.
Okay, because from the car, I could see a woman,
Standing.
and she stands sometimes by herself, and sometimes a man stands with her. I think the man is the old man, but he stands with her because he's crying over. So there was the factory.
After the factory was right where the
He's
trees are there.
He's crying that his empire no longer
Fell
exists.
apart.
So he was like the
He
lord of
owned
the
this.
manor.
He owned this whole town.
Which is how he felt. He felt like lord of the
Yeah.
manor, okay? Like he was king. It was finished, and then he was gone.
My goodness. So Melissa, what did you discover about this family's past?
Well, this house has a lot of history. This was actually a twin house. The father that Anna spoke about made this empire in fireproof bricks, as you also talked about. So he was living for his dynasty. He was living for his empire, and he died a year after he built these 3 mansions, his own, the twin mansions, and one of them burned down, which you said arson. That was interesting. That was Edward's house, and he died from suicide in the factory. The house that Anna and the caretakers are living in now is actually Charles's home, and he died of natural causes, but I can see why they're still trapped in this house. There's also rumors that there was a chef that was killed in that house.
Oh my goodness. Anna, did you experience this family as described?
Yeah, the energy of the house, it was so occupied. You know, you could feel, you know, the man, you know, the lord of the manor, so to speak, and his pain that this was not sustainable. With the two brothers, there was animosity. You know, there was anger over the two of them.
Rick, Elizabeth, what do you think about all this?
Well, there is a lot of stories from there. The whole Kreischer family had a lot of turmoil between them because of the business. And as soon as the father died, the brothers sort of both took over. And there was a lot of animosity, I guess.
I must say, I think you've changed some minds today. All right, if you or someone you know lives in a murder house, document your experiences like this wonderful couple has done. Send us the details, the pictures, the video. Go to droz.com/crime hunters, and we'll see if Anna can help you too.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.